In this video, we're taking this uncolored picture and glowing it up. Coloring can be pretty overwhelming, but if you have a procedure, you can make it easier. One last thing, dear Cartoon Network lawyers, please don't come after me. I've had multiple people comment that these characters look like the Powerpuff Girls, but they are not the Powerpuff Girls, okay? Mine are different. They're a trio that uses the gamer RGB color scheme. It's just a coincidence that they look like the Powerpuff Girls. They're named after foods. The red one is berry, the blue one is bagel, and the green one is basil.
Because it also begins with a B.
Okay, line art is optional. We all hate line art here, so if you choose to skip it, that's totally understandable. Now, if you do use line art, I find that it's a lot easier later on to color if your line art is already good. How do you know if your line art is good? Vibes, I guess. Hopefully, you had 3D forms in mind when you drew your line art, because the line art should already be implying them at this stage. As in, if you can't already tell how shadows are gonna work when you look at an uncolored version of your line art, you're gonna have a bad time. But don't worry, even if your line art is bad, it's still possible to salvage it when shading through a special technique I developed. I call it, just wing it. Just color the things the color they are. Done. Okay, there's actually a bit of nuance here. The way I like to color uses and abuses blending modes. If you've ever messed around with digital art blending modes, you'll know that colors can get real wacky real fast. In particular, I like using add, overlay, and multiply, all of which I'll go over later in the video. The important thing to note about these blending modes is that they can increase saturation by like, a lot. You have to be careful to not let your piece get too saturated, or else you'll burn your eyes out, metaphorically. Or maybe literally. I do know that can be legitimately painful, or at least tiring, to stare at a super saturated image for a long time. And the reason is because more saturated colors tends to naturally attract focus. And what happens if the entire drawing is pumped to 100% max saturation? Your eyes will try to focus on everything, and they'll get tired because that's impossible. So be careful. Don't do that to your viewers. All that to say, just use a desaturated color for your flats. Look, I know you want to use the pretty colors right away, but my pupil, patience and restraint. That will come later. Step 2, lighting. Or step 2, shadow. Really, these two are the same thing, just depends on how you look at them. Most people will probably take a darker color and draw in the shadows, but some people will actually make their base color dark and color in the light later. Shout out to Mark Brunette for teaching me this mindset. Now, since I'm a rebel, and I want to have my cake and eat it too, I'm going to do both. Some of you might already be familiar with the 1, 2, 3 shadow system. Now, if you aren't, you should watch Oriday's video on the topic. But since I don't want you to actually leave this video and watch his, I'm going to give you the summarized version of it. The basics is that most anime art lighting can be divided into 3 separate steps. The first, second, and third shadows. The first shadow is everything that the light source doesn't directly touch. The second shadow is applied to areas that should be even darker than the first shadow. I actually didn't put second shadows in this drawing because I'm going to replace it with lighting later. I did put second shadows in this drawing though. Notice how the hair towards the back is very dark. The third shadow is reserved for ambient occlusion. And if you don't know what ambient occlusion is, it's the fancy term for areas that light can't easily reach. Usually because the area is close to or touching a non-reflective surface. I usually don't draw the third shadow because I draw my line art in a way that already implies it. I make my line art thicker in corners where objects meet, like these corners in the hair. This serves good enough as ambient occlusion. Now, if you have thin line art, or no line art at all, sure, you can draw another shading layer for this. So, how do I pick my shading color? Well, I don't. Alright, it's blending mode time. I use the multiply blending mode for most of my shading. What multiply is good for is making colors darker, more saturated, and cooler, aka bluer. And a good shadow color is darker, more saturated, and cooler. First, make a new layer, then set its blending mode to multiply. Then, get the color of the light source, and find the opposite hue on the color wheel. Shift the color wheel from the color of the light source to a little bit towards the opposite color, and make it saturated and on the brighter side. Most of the time, you'll want to make your color cooler and towards blue. Don't know the color of your light source? It's white now. For white light, a safe bet for the hue for your multiply color is purple-ish. You now have every shading color you need. Now, it's not perfect, but it gets the job done if you're a beginner. Nope, we're not getting into that today. If you want to know exactly why we selected that color for our brush, for a deep dive, look up how multiply works. Just like the name implies, it involves math. And I know just how much y'all artistic folk love the mathematics. Basically, the multiply blend mode will shift the picture's color to be closer to the multiply color, and darker by % of how bright the multiply color is. Nope, we're not getting into that today. Man, that was a lot of info. Okay, let's summarize. There are 3 shadows. You layer each shadow on top of each other to make them darker. If you're too lazy to manually select a shading color for each color, use the multiply layer. And we're not even done with lighting yet. Lighting is the inverse of shadow. If shadow is everywhere light isn't, then light is everywhere where light is. I know that sounds kind of stupid, because it is. But it's true. Just like how there's a 1, 2, 3 shadow system, I'm going to propose a 1, 2, 3 lighting system. First light. The surface catches or reflects a lot of light. Just like the first shadow, this is supposed to be a very broad thing. I apply this to large areas that directly face the light source, which is usually the top of the head, and sometimes the shoulders and arms. Second light. Highlights are light reflecting off of glossier surfaces. The usual suspects are hair, metals, and wet things. Now besides those, I also like adding highlights to the nose, and smaller points in the first light where the surface directly faces the light source. Third light. These are areas inside of the second light that catches a lot of direct light from the light source and reflects it directly towards the viewer. And the usual suspects are hair, metals, and wet things. Again, an important note is that highlights don't have to be in the first light. In fact, they can actually be in shadow and it would still look good. Why? Vibes. Just wing it. I don't really know why it works. It's not realistic, but it works. Anime art isn't realistic. Unless you're explicitly going after realism, vibes are better than realism. Now, I am not saying that realism isn't important. You should know the fundamentals because it makes your art more impactful when you choose not to follow the rules. Now, I choose to render my eyes separately from everything else. The reason why is because the face is typically the area most viewers will look at the most, and the eyes are the most important part of the face. So it makes sense to me to take extra care rendering the eyes. Eyes are something that can be really stylized. Every artist seems to draw them differently, so feel free to go kind of wild here. I made a whole video dedicated to drawing eyes, so check that out if you're interested. I will say that within the few months since I posted that video, I've already changed how I draw eyes, like a lot. So it's already outdated, but that's part of the fun when you draw eyes and you're developing your art style. Anyway, once you've colored the eyes, you still need to integrate them with the rest of the drawing. If they look too bright, just throw a multiply layer over the entire thing. I love blending modes. Nobody's gonna care that you did a cheesy digital art hack to do that. Similarly, if your eyes are too dark, I don't know what you did to get to that outcome. Usually they're too bright or saturated. But if you did manage to pull it off and get them too dark, you can use the add or screen blending modes to make the eyes brighter. Now, if the eyes are unsaturated and you want to make them glow, throw an overlay layer on top of the face using the eye color. Now, I'm a big fan of the add glow layer myself, and you can use that to add, well, glow effects to your art. Which brings us to... At this point, your drawing should pretty much look complete. If you uploaded it right now, people would look at it and say, yeah, that is one of the drawings of all time. But you don't have to settle here. You can take it a lot further by adding random effects. And when I say random, I mean do whatever fits your art style and fits the drawing. Obviously, don't do weird stuff, like add realistic textures to a cel-shaded cartoon piece, for example, but keep it reasonable. Now, what's reasonable for your drawing and art style? As for me, Big fan of glowing lights. Lucky for me, the clothes the girls are wearing are actually embedded with futuristic glowing light strips. Or at least that's my justification for putting glow on their clothes. Really, I just think it looks cool. Similarly, I'll add a glow effect on their eyes. For Barry in the front and center, her horns actually glow too, so I'll add a red glow on top of the horns. Don't forget that the light from glowing lights is subtly reflected in their surroundings, so you need to soft airbrush the glow color on surrounding surfaces. I didn't do the best job of that in this drawing, but I thought the colors were already getting a bit overbearing at this point. Now, I also like adding rim lights, aka light that highlights the outline of the object. Usually, it's more noticeable when the light source is behind the object. But sometimes I'll add it in just because it looks cool. Plus, I find that gives my drawings a bit of subtle 3D depth. I didn't do a lot of it in this drawing, but I did in this one. Notice how I added highlights to some areas of the line art. That's rim lighting. If you drew a background, you also need to consider how light reflects off the background to influence the colors of the picture. Notice how there's a slightly blue tint to the entire picture. Normally, the clothes and hair on this character are supposed to be a rather bright white color, but they're slightly blue to reflect the very blue background. I picked up this next trick from another artist, Mochishiki. Something they do in a lot of their art is add this colored screen tone effect on the hair around the face. I don't really know the exact reason why they do it. I can only guess, but my guess is that it creates a lot of pop and interesting detail around the face, which further incentivizes viewers to look at the face, but mostly because it just looks cool. Yeah, it just looks cool, okay? That's the real reason why I do it. Adding polka dots all around the face might be a bit much for most people's art styles, but you can get a similar but more subtle effect by adding a very slight glow around the face. And if you're subtle enough, people will be more attracted to look at the face without really noticing that there's a glow there, which is what I did here. One last thing, you probably shouldn't leave your line art a pure black color unless you're doing a very cartoony art style. Don't be afraid of a little bit of color on your line art. You can clip a color layer over your line art layer. If you use a vector layer for your line art to change your line art color, you should pretty much always use a vector layer for your line art. What I like to do is to make the line art either a darker version of the flat color or make it a bright color that's influenced by the light. Or honestly, I just kind of wing it sometimes and make the color something completely random because it looks cool. Final result. Ah geez, I think I went too far with the stylizing. Wow, that's a lot of color. Alright, time to rip the band-aid off. I need to make a proper background. Honestly, this should realistically be like step 1. But let's be real here. You just want to draw cute anime girls and don't care about backgrounds. You probably put it off until you couldn't ignore it anymore, just like I did. And if you didn't, good job. That actually would have made color selection in the previous steps a lot more straightforward. When making backgrounds, you don't need to go super crazy with golden ratio, compositions, and perfect perspective. Depending on the piece, you can make it relatively simple. This drawing is already pretty stylized, so I'll go with a similarly stylized background. I wanted to separate the 3 characters with this paper ripping effect, but I wasn't having much luck doing it by hand. This is what I managed to do. It works well enough, but I decided the drawing still needed more spice. So time to throw in cool particle effects. Who doesn't love particle effects? Modern gaming graphics are built on particle effects, and cool drawings that stand out is no different. You can put particle effects in the foreground, and for this one, I use this pedal brush that I think is a default in Clip Studio Paint. I made the particles really big, and then blurred them out to simulate movement from the wind, and also because if a camera was taking a picture, they would be out of focus from being in the foreground. I wanted to experiment with adding a snowflake pattern in the background of Bubbles portion, Bagels portion of the image. But it didn't really look good in my opinion. So instead, I added this manga chat attention grabber effect thing because she's laughing. As for Basil's, I didn't really know what to do for her background. So I thought, hey, she's green. The wind element from Genshin Impact is green. Alright, she uses wind magic now. So I grabbed a wind brush off the Clip Studio asset store. Like, I literally just typed in wind and downloaded a brush that I thought looked neat. So I added in some wind slices, I gave it color, and then I thought, whoa, hey, this looks kind of cool. So cool, in fact, that I get rid of all of the work that I did manually drawing the separators and then redo them with the Rin brush. Yeah, that's better. So this is the last step before your drawing is done. It's optional, but it will give your drawing some extra spice. Basically, you apply filters over the entire image to fine-tune the picture. What I'll do is duplicate everything and then merge the duplicated layers together. Then I'll apply a Gaussian blur filter to it, anywhere from 20 to 70 pixels. Then I lower the opacity until the picture stops looking like a blurry mess into something that looks good again. What this process does is soften hard edges and line art, and it makes it look slightly less clean and digital, which, if you want your drawing to look clean or digital, you can skip this step. But I want that slight blurriness because I don't want my drawings to be super clean. I want them to have edge. You can make more blurred duplicate layers and mess around with them. Try different blend modes and opacity. For example, to make both your color saturation and contrast greater, you can make a blurred overlay layer. Alternatively, if you don't want to make your drawing look a little more blurry, you can add in a color correction layer, or use tone curves, or level corrections. Really, you should just experiment with the effects in the edit or filter submenus and see what you like. And that's all of my stuff done. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Okay, I feel like my eyes are starting to bleed now. That's better. By the way, I make music. This is the cover art for my song, Max Power. My artist name is YTunes. If you like video game music from the 2000s era of games, just like Jet Set Radio, you should check it out. Okay, I went over a lot in this video, probably too much info for one YouTube video, so I'll summarize my coloring process here. Get your line art, then add flats, then add your shadows, then add your highlights, then add your eyes, then add your background, then add your particles, then add your post-processing. That's it from me, bye.